view. It's very difficult to identify precise milestone because it really is just a it's like a long, hard struggle where you just never give up. You just continue trying, right? But I think I would like to mention something that's not really a single milestone, but to me is very important. Uh, Among the many things that the association does is something that's probably not much on the radar screen of most people because it's rarely street confident, but that's just the support to our members. I mean, many people come to the association requesting advice, help, support on work-related issues, and I can tell you there are lots of those cases. It's more than people can imagine, and you do your best. You try to help. You give advice. Sometimes you can do some things. Sometimes it's really difficult, but people appreciate the support. But sometimes you make a real contribution to really resolving the issue, and when that happens, that's a source of great satisfaction.
In general, the staff associations in FAO have always been very active in FICSA. And I think it's not an exaggeration to say that we wouldn't have the compensation package that we have if it wasn't for the work that FAO staff, professional staff did, and general service staff did on behalf of the GS staff.
Our current compensation package and the benefits we have are all, I think, the result of previous negotiations and discussions by colleagues who preceded us. And so I think looking forward and taking stock of the difficult situation the UN is in at the moment, I think there is ever more need to stand for our rights and conditions of employment. And so I think the slogan should be that AP-in-FAO is what you do, what you make of it. And we need the active involvement of colleagues, of members, and also that they step forward and take a role in the association at a different level. And so we really need the current membership to rise to the challenge of these difficult times.
In later years, after I left the executive committee of AP, I became also one of the representatives of AP at the federation level in FICSA. And I attended many FICSA councils, and in that experience, I had the same feeling of all of us staff representatives working together for a better UN.
During my period as General Secretary, there was the compensation review, which is still ongoing. It's a 5-year compensation review.
Hopefully I'll live 25 years after retirement. So really it's about 50, the time you spend retired is almost as much as the time you spend working, or can be even more than the time you spend working. And what I really appreciate now as a retired person is the work that the staff associations did in terms of pensions and medical coverage. And those two areas were never my areas of expertise. Other people worked on them. But now as a retired person, I'm so appreciative of, how important that the pension and the medical insurance is vitally important, of course.
I would say maybe the best memory I have is the solidarity that we have among all the staff. We got the feeling of working together, basically with the objective of trying to make a better FAO.
The establishment of the childcare facilities at FAO. I remember when I first started, there was a committee with representatives of the staff association on it, and I've been working even before I arrived and for so many years afterwards as well. And then finally, I think it was after 20 years, we managed to get the childcare facility established. And that was, I think, it was a great achievement.
AP played a somewhat minor role, but I think it was very important in the history of staff representation. I was on the appeals committee with David McFarland, who was also a very active staff representative. And there was a case of same-sex civil unions, but it was brought by a French staff member who was trying to get the same benefits as the heterosexual couples had. And that appeal went to the tribunal, and AP supported that tribunal, that case, financially in terms of legal advice. And the case won at the tribunal. So that was a milestone for gay staff in the UN, actually. And I think it was because AP had the vision to do that. Not all people at the time were sympathetic to that issue.
So there is a few things that we achieved. I think the first one in 2006 or 7, we got the organization to agree to a spouse employment policy. Before that, it was spouses were not allowed to even apply for a job here in FAO, which we thought was not fair, because why would someone not be able to work in the organization if he or she is married to someone in the organization?
Then what I had already mentioned about this reform process in FAO, it was a brief moment where I think the staff representatives really had the ear of the senior management. We even had breakfast with the director general. It was Doof at the time. And I think we really were trying to sensitize the senior managers of what it was like to work for FAO. And unfortunately, that progress that we made was kind of cut short. But in terms of specific events, the merger between FSA and the Field Staff Association and the Association of Professional Staff was actually very challenging, because even though we were all working for the same organization, the life and the challenges of the field staff was very different than the headquarters staff, and the associations had a sort of different culture. So that took quite a lot of work to do that merger, and it was a big thing at the time.
Merger between the Professional Staff Association that existed before and the Field Staff Association, because so previous there were 2 separate organizations for field staff and one for headquarters staff, and the 2 were merged and formed the current version of the association.
The best memory of the situation of being treasurer was that I was awarded the Meritorious Service Award from 2012. Yeah, I know, because of the financial situation went from a potential bankruptcy to a very thriving, financially strong association. So that was one of the best memories I had, and also working with colleagues and making, AP-in-FAO part of, at least in our group, many of our members joined the association. So that was good.
Celia was one of the most interesting persons and great colleague that I have met as a staff representative. We had a very good experience with him when we were working on this reform process in 2005, but particularly during the merger process, as he was leading the FSA at the time, the Field Staff Association, and I was member of the executive secretary of AP, and through the conversation that we had with them, we were able to do the merger. And it was thanks to his great spirit of collaboration, sincerity, transparency. I think we all that interacted with him learned so much from it. We miss him sorely.
International mobility policy of any international organization that had been implemented at FAO, and it imposed significant strain and hardship on many of our members, and we were struggling very, very hard to sort of get this thing abolished, draw attention to the problems, also getting the member country government's attention to the problems of this mobility policy, trying to help people specifically with their individual circumstances. And after the policy was abandoned, to sort of try to help people also sort of, if we could find solutions to unfortunate situations people were still finding themselves as a result of mobility policy. That was really a big struggle that we carried out. So that's to me an important milestone, really.
When there was the abusive forced mobility policy in place, the staff association has always been, with very strong and reasonable arguments, fighting against that relentlessly. And when the Director General changed in 2019, it was quickly abolished. And I'm pretty sure that the Staff Association played a very important role in that. And there was even a report which evaluated the forced mobility practices and slammed it down. And that is unprecedented in FAO, I think. And credits go to the Staff Association, in my view.
I remember during the mobility, I was one of the cases. And coming to AP, it was the first time that I had been heard and that my case was taken seriously, because it had not only an impact on my professional life, but also on my personal and family life. And I'm really thankful for AP to have been there, because alone you are feeling depressed, but if you're talking to AP-in-FAO, you get solutions. Don't wait too long. It's better to be a member at the beginning rather than when you are really facing a big danger and it's almost too late.
The decision to finally open up to membership of national professional officers, which was the process was started with the amendment of the statutes in 2021, and it's still an ongoing process. But that's also an important step. So we will be able finally, or you will be able to finally represent all professional staff in the organization, wherever they be and whatever their contract arrangement may be.
The main milestone was the fight for teleworking to give voice to all personnel in FAO, both staff and consultants. We did surveys, we did a working group, who prepared a paper, and the main milestone was a big town hall meeting we organized together with UGSS in the plenary hall in headquarters with thousands of participants. It was huge. And we followed that town hall with a walkout with a great participation. This was a great moment, showing that we were all united to express our views.
The town halls that we held, as well as the walkout, because these were great moments showing solidarity among all employees, not only FAO staff, to show how important it is to have a well work-life balance and be able to have flexible work arrangements.
A recent milestone is the fact that we prevented the teleworking approach to teleworking to get worse. I think, in my opinion, we made sure that teleworking is still possible in the organization.
The working group on teleworking that has been active since 2022, and we have a group of colleagues that we also joined efforts to work on the position paper and to continue dialogue with the senior management on behalf of staff based on surveys, and it was really, really beneficial and quite an enriching experience. And the work of the working group was quite recognized. All the members, all of us, we received the recognition, and we received this called service award. So it was a merit service award. So this was wonderful to receive at the AP Assembly in 2024.
Another good memory or good milestones is when we immediately took action, when we learned that staff counselors were losing their contracts. And this was very important because they play a crucial role to enable staff to work well and to be able to talk about their issues. We were able to keep staff counselor, and that senior management took action to preserve this important position.
The committee really makes an emphasis on really to take care of the wellness and to make sure there is a duty of care that organization practices. This means that, for example, they the organization continues to provide that, the health counseling, staff counselors, keeping them, to within the organization to make sure that the staff have that those resources are available to staff in case they need.
So I still hope that at one point in time, the FAO constitution can include a representation for the consultants pool, especially for the long-term consultants who have the same role now as staff used to have, only for maybe half of the financial reward and with very little job security also.